Warning, the following conversation features fierce women, once high school acquaintances, now friends, who talk about real topics that most people either try to avoid or pretend don't exist. In here, it can get messy, but it's always the truth. Welcome to The Messy Truth.
Hello, welcome back to The Messy Truth. And it's been quite a messy day for some of us, it seems. But that's life. It's messy. And we're back. We've got Becky, Maureen, and I'm Jen. And thank you so much for listening or watching, whatever. And we just hope it, helps people and lifts their spirits, or at least helps you get through like an hour of your day. And today, one of the messy truths we're going to talk about is comparison. Comparison is something probably every human being does at some point in their lives, maybe more so when they're younger than when they're older, or even maybe so more when they're going through a difficult time in their lives and they start to look outward. But I think the root really is that it's linked to fear and insecurity. And especially insecurity, but also I think, fear as well, because fear can drive insecurity and vice versa. So we're going to dive into comparison and things like, I had written some things down here, like, why do we do it? Is it worse because of social media? How do we try to combat it? And some views about like women doing it compared to men. Like, are women worse at it than men? Do men compare themselves to other guys? That sort of thing. And what do guys think about women comparing themselves to other women?
Yeah, like when men take out the ruler and they start measuring themselves. I mean, seriously, I hear that they do that.
No.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, see? Yes.
I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah.
Teenage boys, maybe, but not.
Right. Not men. I can't. You would hope that they're past that.
I don't know.
I don't think so.
I don't want to hear that. I have a teenage boy. I don't want to hear that. He's not doing that.
Well, jumping off of that little
that's
wagon for a second.
So a couple of weeks ago, guys, we already touched on that. Wait, can I just say something? Since that porn episode, thank you to all the people who reached out, which were a lot. I don't know about you and Jen, but a lot of people reached out to me. One person in particular, I feel like it happened at the perfect time for them to be able to help somebody. And I'm looking forward to seeing how that plays out. But what is so funny is just today, I had 2 people contacting me to say, I would have been on that porn episode. And they were,
oh, yeah, right.
And I'm like, okay, so we'll do porn episode number 2 and you can come on. And they're like, I'm all on it. Granted, they were both Marines that I was in the Marines with, so they probably really would. But somebody just recently said to me, Larry Love, just said to me, you need some men on that program of yours. So
sure.
Maybe we can do an episode number 2 of that and bring whoever is willing to come back and share their own personal stuff. So we're not speaking for the men.
Yeah. I mean, even in an episode like this, to have a man's view.
I would love to know a man's view, but can they be honest?
Yeah.
Yeah. I believe they could,
of course.
From their viewpoint, of course,
Yeah.
All right.
It's like we have a viewpoint, they'll have a viewpoint.
Right.
The right one.
Rolling back into this. So I was reading something on psychology today, which I thought was interesting. It said people constantly evaluate themselves and others in areas like attractiveness, wealth, intelligence, and success. And then it goes on to say that there was a theory developed in 1954 by psychologist Leon Festinger. I hope I pronounced that right. It's called social comparison. It's a theory that individuals determine their own social and personal worth based on how they compare to others. So that goes into the whole self-worth thing, which I believe Becky was saying at some point we'll need to do a podcast just on self-worth.
Yeah.
Because I think comparison definitely definitely plays a role in that somehow. Well, in certain ways, for sure.
It does.
But so let's dive into the whole, why are we comparing ourselves to others, and is it ever healthy? And what do we do to combat it?
Where to start?
Well, when Jen just said, is it ever healthy? I mean, the first thing I want to do is shout out, absolutely not. It's not healthy. But then I want to take a step back and say, is it? I don't know. What is your thought on that?
I think that there's there can be like comparing yourself to others with a level of healthiness to it. Like when I'm at work and I feel like maybe I'm not doing such a great job, and I'm seeing someone else and I think she's killing it. And I'm like, man, all right, I should step it up a little bit. She's doing this, I can do that. I think that's good comparison.
Right.
I agree.
That's a good point.
That prompts me to want to be better.
Like a motivational kind of thing.
Yeah, I think that kind of comparison that's unhealthy is the kind of comparison that causes you to beat yourself up, that makes you kind of put yourself down, that makes you feel like you're not good enough, unless you're really not good enough and you're you're slacking off and not doing what you're supposed to be doing, then you need a kick in the butt to get going. But I think there's good and bad comparisons for sure.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a good point.
When you asked yourself that question, how did you answer it, Maureen?
Well, I didn't. I let you do it. And you're right. No, you're right. I went to yell like, absolutely not. But then I said, wait, because something like my gut said, no, let me think about that. And you're 100% correct.
Yeah.
When it comes to, looking at your performance on something and seeing that somebody else is performing. And then I think that's where the whole, when you start thinking, when you get mad at somebody, you're like, oh, or you're jealous of somebody. I feel like that's when I don't mean to get off track, but that's when you have to take a step back and say, why am I feeling like that? And you're comparing yourself to them and you're feeling like you're not meeting those expectations that you wish you would. And that's where I feel like it could be healthy. Like, okay, I want to do as well as that person is, or I want to achieve that. So,
this is a total tangent, but I remember the first time I compared myself to somebody that made me feel like I could be a better person was a woman. And I know she doesn't watch this podcast, but her name is Carrie Burns. And I did a bunch of tours with her in Israel. She was the person who brought me to Israel the first time and then the third time. And actually, she was responsible for my second time. But anyway, I remember she planted in my brain, and this was probably like in 2008. She planted in my brain a thought that had never been in my brain before, which was, this is so stupid that it took until 2008 for me to get to this point. But she like triumphed my talents and abilities. She wasn't intimidated by them. She wasn't put off by them. She like saw the value in them and what they could do and how they could come alongside of what she does and complement them. And she like wasn't like afraid of that. And she was like, I want you to come to Israel with me, and I want you to do A, B, and C. And I was like, like in my mind, it blew my mind that a woman was like, I see this about you that's good, and this about you that's good. And she was able to pinpoint it and identify it and then tell me. And then like call me out and say, I want you to come do this with me. And like up until that point, all my experiences with women were competitive. Mm-hmm. They were like, well, she's better than I'm not going to talk to her. She does this better than me. I'm not even going to acknowledge it until I'm better than her. And I just really started to appreciate that. She was the first person to really get me to appreciate that I can recognize strengths in women that I don't have and like champion them with those strengths. And there was like a power in that of being able to be like, wow, you're this way and I'm totally not that way, but that's awesome that you're that way. I wish I could be that way, but that's just not me.
Right.
And I thought that was like really like a freeing moment for me. I remember that so plainly with her. She was the first person to teach me. I didn't have to be intimidated by other women who were powerful, intelligent, talented, capable, smart, you know?
That is absolutely beautiful. And I wish that all women could have that experience. That is really a beautiful experience.
Speaking of which, Maureen, I was just taking a walk with Vicky yesterday on the walkway, and we talked about you. And what I was recognizing about you that I'm not this way is that you are, and this is what I said to Vicky in verbatim, is you are a person who lives deeply. And like you are a person like shit could be hitting the fan, but you'll find the silver lining in it and embrace it. Like I was watching your duck videos this morning and I was like, I love that she just puts these ducks on every morning. And she's like, she's embracing that moment. Like you're just finding such joy in that moment. You're not letting all the bad things that are happening in your life, and there's stuff going on in your life that's stressful. You're not letting that take over. You're just enjoying the ducks. And
yeah, at that moment,
I'm like, man, I'm just so focused on all the crap that's going on. Like, I want to just enjoy the ducks, and and I just was recognizing that about you, that you have the ability to like really live richly.
Thank you. Jen, I'm so sorry we hijacked your moment. So what you're saying. So I want to chime in that you, Becky, and I'm not saying this just because you said this about me. I was thinking about this when you said this about this woman that, made you feel that it was okay to be you and to embrace you and not to feel negative about, women, competition, right?
Yeah.
So when we met up and summers ago, and then when we were doing this whole messy truth thing, you're just a go-getter. You're like, no, I want that. I'm going to do it and get out of my way. Right? No, you are. Like, that's how I see you. That's how I see you.
But
like,
wait, just come alongside me and do it.
No. Not get out of my way, bitch. You're off to the side. No, you're just like, you're uber focused and I need to get this done. And if I don't know how to do it, I'm finding a way to do it. And this is my goal. And I'm going to climb that mountain. I'm going to get there. And I've always been, oh, that mountain's too high. I really want to climb it. Oh, but I have to buy this kind of gear and I have to do this. Let me research it and think about it. Oh, maybe someday I'll get there. And I never get there because I let my fear get in the way. And you have pushed me out of my comfort zones, even at times when I've gotten annoyed with you because you are so like, I'm doing it. And I'm like in the dust back here. And I'm like, wait, I'm trying to run to catch up. but listen, honestly, you, regardless of it all, you've pushed me out of comfort zones, even if you didn't know you were doing it, to do things that I was afraid to do. And I thank you for that.
Aww.
Yeah. Anyway,
just had a kumbaya.
Let's hold hands.
But okay, the thing is, like, it's okay to recognize that you have strengths that I don't, and I have strengths that you don't, and Jen has strengths that neither one of us do.
Yeah.
And together, like, it's okay. You don't have to be everything. Just be you and be a good you.
The best you. Absolutely.
You're right. Instead of comparing yourself to another person, it is like Becky was saying, like that woman said, come along, you have these strengths. And But then it is me looking at Becky going, but I want to do that. And using that as not being jealous or pissed off, but as learning to look at yourself and saying, okay, I want to do that. Well, then do it. Don't get pissed off or jealous that somebody else is doing it. Use that as the catapult to say, okay, well, then let me figure out how to do it and be inspired by it instead of pissed off, jealous, or whatever other negative words we can come up with. But I think that's why the three of us, and we'll get back on the track real quick right now. I want to say that's why the three of us, I think this whole thing works real well because we just really appreciate one another for what we bring to the table.
I think that's
all right.
Is like knowing the better you know somebody, the less likely you are to feel threatened by their abilities.
Absolutely.
Because they have your back, they see your abilities. We were just taught so young, at such a young age, to automatically be so competitive and want to be better than everybody else instead of just recognizing, wow, you're so good at that and I'm not. But that doesn't mean that doesn't mean I don't have talents and abilities. It's just you have different ones than me.
Right. It's beautiful. What a beautiful moment we just had.
But let's get to the petty stuff.
Yeah.
Well, it's funny that you say that because I think we can roll into the whole, social media thing. But I do want to just, confirm in there that there is, as far as like the unhealthy comparison goes, it's very much rooted in insecurity.
Yeah.
And I think on the one hand, it's rooted in insecurity. I'm comparing myself to her because, she has this or she has that. But then I also think there's comparison with the competing with the Joneses, keeping up with the Joneses. Like, she's got a brand new car and she's got a brand new house and she's got a brand new this and they just went here and they just went there. And there's a lot of one-upping. And I'm sure, that's been since the beginning of time. And I think with, social media, that definitely magnifies it and makes it more apparent. And that's why so many people call Facebook brag book for a long time.
Oh, I didn't know.
And
I didn't know that. Yeah, that's good. I could see that.
Maybe it was just me.
You made it up.
I just thought other people did too. But no, seriously, because it's so easy to put on a certain, image and it's empty in the back, like a perfect family, perfect, wife, a perfect mom, a perfect this, money, success, the whole 9 yards. And that brings us back to the whole social comparison theory. And is social media making it worse? What I also want to kind of roll in here with is I've got teenage daughters, so I'm always up on music. And Olivia Rodrigo right now, I'm sure Marie knows, is the biggest thing since sliced bread. But some of her songs, the lyrics ring incredibly true. And one of the songs that she's got out there right now is called Jealousy. And I'm just going to read a few of the lines because this is just, it completely comes in on what we're talking about with comparison. And it's, I kind of want to throw my phone across the room because all I see are girls too good to be true with paper white teeth and perfect bodies. Wish I didn't care. I know that beauty is not my lack, but it feels like that weight is on my back and I can't let it go. Comparison is killing me slowly. I think too much. About kids who don't know me, I'm so sick of myself. I'd rather be anyone else, but jealousy. That's just some of the, some of it. And she goes in about that to me. I mean, it's wisdom from like this 19-year-old.
Yeah.
And then she goes on to say, so like this to me is even better. And I see everyone getting all the things I want and I'm happy for them. But then again, I'm not. Just cool vintage clothes and vacation photos. I can't stand it. Oh God, I sound crazy. Their win is not my loss. I know it's true, but I can't help getting caught up in it all. Just all your friends are so cool. You go out every night in your daddy's nice car. Yeah, you're living the life. Got a pretty face, pretty boyfriend too. I want to be so bad. I don't even know you. I'll stop it there because just that rings true, I think, so much.
Yeah, she's on point, on target, 100%.
Yeah. But she's 19 and we're freaking 50 and she's on point.
Yeah.
Bingo.
Kudos to her.
Stood out to me. I don't know if it stood out to you guys.
Hey.
Vacation photos. I'm like, oh my God, if I see that person on another freaking vacation, I'm going to lose my shit. Drives me crazy. I'm like, how are you having all these vacations?
But you have to wonder, like, so sometimes you'll see someone driving this great car and then they go home and you're like, oh, I saw you driving Mercedes. That's a really, tiny house in a really rotten neighborhood. And sometimes people will put their resources in what's important to them. But from the outside, it might look totally different. Somebody will you have perceptions and you will have assumptions about, we assume your life is going to be X because you're presenting Y.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I think it's also too what we're perceiving on our end, even though there are those people out there who want to one up everybody else.
Yeah. Yeah.
And they kind of act like they don't, but sometimes they do.
They do.
And
they totally do. I don't mean to interrupt, but I do mean to.
Go ahead.
You think they do want to one up everybody?
Okay. So what I was going to say is right now off the top of my head, I can think of two male friends of mine. I'm just going to, two male friends of mine. I'm going to leave it at that. Who I am pretty freaking sure that every time they post something about the upgrades to their house or their vacation or what famous person they're with or whatever, what are you doing? Like, that's what goes through my mind. Like, what are you doing? Like,
so what do you think the difference is between somebody getting excited about something and wanting to post it? And I'm not saying that
the famous person, you better freaking believe it's going to be on Facebook.
Right. So I'm not saying that your people aren't doing what you think they are, but in general, what do you think the difference is between somebody being really excited or generally like so filled with happiness and joy? They, of course, our social media is our outlet, like the newspaper, yell it to the world, versus somebody that is just posting because they have to try to elevate themselves. What do you think?
I just thought about it in the 30 seconds you asked that question because I started to feel a little convicted that I was having these thoughts about these two people.
And I didn't mean for you to do that.
No, I should.
I should put that question on.
The self-reflection is important. So I was reflecting on myself and it dawned on me that, you know what? I would do those same things if I was in a freaking awesome place for vacation. I would freaking post those pictures left and right up your butt. You would get so tired of seeing it on Facebook. I mean, granted, I was in Ocean City with Karen last week and I was posting pictures all the time because I was happy to be on vacation. And also I do use Facebook as my photo storage device.
Yeah.
They can't all stay on my phone. So that's a thing too. But I think the difference is when all that person is posting are those things.
There you go.
That's different.
Yeah.
You will see posts of mine that maybe aren't so happy.
Yeah.
That are like, I was just looking, I can't believe I posted this, but one of my memories this past week, I actually posted, it must have been like 10 years ago. And I actually posted a comment that said, wow, where did she get that attitude from? And it was like a little smiley face. And I was talking about my daughter. She got her attitude from me. And my sister was the only person who liked it because no one else wanted to touch it.
Right.
But, from every once in a while, I'll post something that's not the best news. That's not the best. But if all you're posting is like your fancy vacations and your famous friends and your fancy car and your amazing theater room and your, it just gets obnoxious after a while. Like, let's see a little bit of you for
reality. Let's see reality.
But at the same time, you don't want to air dirty laundry.
Right.
Or if you're really struggling in something.
Right.
you don't necessarily want to put that out there because it's private.
Exactly.
And it's not that, you don't want, because Facebook's practically the world. If you've got a couple hundred friends, there are certain things that are going on in your life that you might talk about with your very tight knit group and no one beyond that. So you're not going to post anything like that on Facebook.
Yeah.
Yeah. Everybody's got a different, like I have a little bit, if it's not about me. So if it's about my husband, that's his privacy. I don't share his stuff. I'm not extremely private, but some people are private and they don't want to put all their innards out. So you're right, Jen. Absolutely.
But then again, I'm like you, Maureen, like anybody can ask me any question and I'll answer it because I don't care what people know about me.
But I think also too, don't you feel a little bit of, we're probably getting so off topic, but this is just so much fun. Don't you feel a little bit like sharing your wisdom, sharing your experiences, helps people. So when you're not private, for us, I'm not saying people should be like us. That's not what I mean. But if you're not a private person, I feel like when I'm putting my stuff out there, it's not like, oh, feel sorry for me or be jealous of me. It's more like you're trying to inspire people or trying to make people feel good or trying to say, hey,
people feel normal.
Yes, like this happened to me, and if it happened to you, don't feel bad. We're in this together, kind of a thing.
Yeah. And I think there's a fine line between listen, people, I don't need to air my dirty laundry on Facebook. That is not what Facebook is for. And I'll be honest, most of what I post on Facebook are positive things. So I'm guilty of that like everybody else is. But in my mind, I'm like, do people want to hear the bull crap that's going on? Like, no, that's not what, it's just negative. But
no.
So it's hard when you feel this compulsion to really put the best part of you out there on social media, because I guarantee you there's probably people out there who are like, oh, well, Becky's got this perfect life and she's always at the beach and her kids are awesome and her daughter does this, and it's probably annoying, but that is not my life, really. That's just what I show you.
Right.
Well, and I think it's so important in order to keep a happy heart and a good spirit to remind ourselves that when we see those things, even if we're not struggling with something heartbreaking that's going on in our lives, you got to be so careful with the comparison, because comparison will really create misery in your mind and in your heart. And you can create this awful, that do loop that won't quit because you're comparing yourself to someone else and not finding contentment in yourself. Or if you do believe in God, not trusting in God's promises and being content with the person he made you to be, because you're totally different than everyone else on this earth and everyone who's ever been created or will be created.
Yeah, that's true. So that's a good question. Are you content with the person you are? I want an answer.
Yes.
You are?
Yeah.
Maureen?
I'm getting there.
You're getting
there. I feel that I'm more there now than I ever have been. But it's taken a lot of sorry, I had a fuzz in my face. I always say this. I always refer back to my divorce, but my divorce was definitely a turning point in my life that brought stuff to the forefront that I had to focus on and look at. And to dig through all of that helped me to find who I was and learn to appreciate myself for who I am. I hate coining this term, but to love yourself. Mm-hmm. I really didn't know what that meant until recently. And to start being able to tap into what's really important to me and respecting that for myself. Like when Jen was saying about the social media bringing that comparison to us, we lose our way when you're comparing yourself to other people and you're seeing what other people are doing on social media. then we're saying, I think we get confused in our minds of what's important and what's not. As far as, just because Susie Q is doing XYZ, that's important to her. And then all of a sudden, I think that's what I should be doing. And we lose our way, I think. And it's really important to understand who we are, who God made us to be, who we were born to be, and to get to understand who we are and what's important to us, and respect that, and to acknowledge it, and to bring that and develop it and let it flower. Am I I feel like I just went on this weird woo-woo path, but does that make sense what I'm saying?
That makes sense. But
Yeah, it does.
Tomorrow,
I don't
ask you that question. I just want you to say, yes, I like who I am.
well, but
you should like who you are. I'm serious. Like, I was curling my hair today, watching your duck videos. And I was like, man, I just want to be like Maureen.
Oh God, no, I'm crazy.
The way you were talking to the ducks and Tiny Tim, like you named the ducks and you were telling them not to fight with each other. And I was like, oh, I love it. I love it.
That's my checkout moment. But when I was like texting you guys today saying, I can't make it at 6, maybe 6:30, then at 7:15, I was like having a panic attack, and I'm working. And I'm like, I gotta get Rebecca. And I'm like, my life fucking sucks.
And let's just point out right now that Maureen's wearing ears.
Oh, it's because Maureen needs a haircut, by the way. This is why I'm wearing these ears. Nobody wanted to buy these ears in my yard sale, by the way, so I took them home.
I could never wear ears unless I was like totally wasted. And I don't know why. Like, I'm just like, why? How can Maureen wear ears and she feels good about it? And I just couldn't. Like, I just don't feel like I could pull that off.
I couldn't. But the only time I would want to wear them, if I'm wearing like that Eartha Kitt cat suit from like Batman or something. That's the only thing I think of when I think of those cat ears. But that's off topic, and I won't go there. But
don't compare yourself to me.
I want the ears, damn it.
But the whole contentment thing, it's hard because it's up and down. It's not like I say, oh, I'm content. Right now in this very moment, yes. Yeah. Generally speaking, I believe so. Yeah. But everybody goes through struggles, regardless of what they look like on Facebook, regardless of what they look like, from across from the table from you, or across the hallway, or in another car, whatever the case may be. That's life, man. It's messy. Yeah. That's honest. It's up and down. Sometimes you're content, sometimes you're not. But I think you've got to really be careful about if you're looking at Facebook or Instagram or whatever you're on. Oh, wow. I wish, wow. Wow. She's so thin, like great mom. Or what about my kids? Like, oh, so hard. And you got to really be intentional about reining yourself in on that stuff and not letting your mind wander and then beating yourself up and thinking that you're not good enough.
Yeah.
And you're putting so much pressure on yourself. Mm-hmm. And that's oftentimes the worst.
Yeah.
So you guys already know, my biggest pet peeve on social media.
No, yes. What? I forgot what.
Yes.
You know what it is.
Oh, filters.
I just feel.
Here we go.
I am so freaking sick. I'm sorry.
I'm having a hot flash.
Because I've already had this much. But we're gonna talk about it, because since we started talking about this podcast idea that this messy truth thing, filters was in my mind. So here's my big moment.
But wait. Just, I want to preface it by, if anybody uses major filters all the time with your pictures, we love you too. And we want you, yes, we love you. And we want to know why you want to use filters, and we want you to love yourself.
Okay.
Tell us why you use filters. Okay, Becky, go.
All right. So I just have to say it. There are a couple of people that we went to high school with. I'm sorry. I'm going to go there. I don't freaking care. That when they post their profile pictures, they are with such a crazy, I'm not talking about an Instagram filter. All right. I'm talking about a full on Photoshop filter. Removed every wrinkle. It's almost like they're almost like a burn victim, right? And they're glowing and so smooth. It's like crazy smooth skin, and they look skinny and they get like hundreds of comments. You're so beautiful, beautiful, gorgeous, love you. You're so gorgeous. And I want to be like, can you at least say that you've used a filter? Because what are you doing to the rest of us women who are 50? You're using your filter for your profile picture and you're not. I just feel like if you're over.
Becky, they know. People know.
No, you have to let me finish. When you're over a certain age and you're using a crazy ass filter for your profile picture, you have an obligation, a moral obligation to say, this is a filtered photo, especially when you start getting like 50 plus comments on how gorgeous you are with your, I'm sorry.
I said the F word too.
Photo. I'm sorry. It pisses me off because it's fraud. I feel like it's
But they know, Becky, there's no way that the other people don't know that they're using a filter.
No, that's not true because I showed my sister. I'm like, look at this picture. What do you think about it? She's like, I think it looks great. I'm like, do you think anything of it? No. I'm like, do you think that there's a filter? What's a filter?
Oh.
So there are some people who don't know.
Right.
It's false advertising.
There's some people with their Facebook photos. If people were to meet them in real life, they're not going to recognize them.
Right.
Here's the thing. Let me just say why it bothers me.
Yeah.
One, it bothers me because you are using enhancements in a way without telling everybody else that you've used enhancements to make yourself look younger, better, like less wrinkly, whatever, without being honest about that. And then you're getting all this feedback on how gorgeous you are. Two, that causes other people in the same age group as you to feel not as good about themselves. Like maybe I should be using a filter. And three, well, what is that doing for you? If you feel like you can only get compliments if you're using a crazy filter on your face, well, what is that doing for you?
Right.
I happen to meet I'm going to say, I don't care. I'm going to say her name. Her name is Phyllis. I'm not going to say her last name. I happened to met her a month and a half ago at Magnanini. Gorgeous, natural gray hair. She's freaking hot.
I think I know who you're talking about.
And she's a wife of a classmate of ours.
Mm-hmm.
She looks awesome. She looks awesome. She doesn't need a filter. And she looks her age. She embraced the gray hair.
Yeah.
She looks great. And I'm like, man, like I wish more people were like you.
Yeah.
Because she's happy with herself. And all those other people using filters, they have to not be happy with themselves because they have to do that to feel good about themselves.
And I feel sad. I feel sad for that. But I want to make a confession, and I want to say a couple things. First of all, I'm using a white, I think it's called a halo light. I got from Target for $5.
It's called a ring light. People use it all the time.
Ring light. Okay. Well, first of all, I'm using that. And I've been getting lots of wrinkles now that I've turned 50. So I just want to share a couple quick things. Okay. First of all, I used to pick monkey my pictures. Yes, I did. Yes, I did, Becky.
Did you say pick monkey?
I said pick monkey. It's an app. Okay. It was an app, and I would put my pictures in there before I would post them because I would be so freaking self-conscious about wrinkles that I had around here and here. Okay.
But
I didn't have
you, Maureen.
I didn't have them here. But I'm going back 10 years ago, even like crazy. Wow. Okay. So I'm going to lead up to this. So do I still not like certain wrinkles on my face or how I might appear in a picture? And might I not post a picture now? I don't pick monkey my pictures anymore. I got rid of that, by the way. All right. Pick monkey. Sorry. I'm sorry. So anyway,
wait, can I just interrupt?
Yeah.
What a horrible name for a
monkey.
filter.
Yeah,
it's make yourself look better and you call it pick monkey? What the heck?
Right. Well, it was for other stuff too. It's PIC, like picture.
Right,
pick monkey.
but still.
I know.
No,
I don't. So I don't use it anymore. I just don't post pictures that I don't feel represent me well, because I don't see myself as a certain way with like certain kinds of wrinkles on my face, and I don't post them. That's number one. Number two is, I think you have to do a lot of self-reflection. You have to really be willing to be vulnerable with yourself and get to the inner core. I'm just going deep here for a second, like you said, Becky, to be willing to get to know you and to face some demons you have, some past traumas. You have to really be willing to do that, to be okay with all of you. And I just turned 50 in July. I just about maybe a month ago, 3 weeks ago, I was in the bathroom and blow drying my hair, and I went to walk out and a shadow hit my face in a certain way. I think I might even mention this to you guys before. And it shadowed some of, I think it's on this side, some of the wrinkles I had going around my mouth now. And for the very first time, I felt proud of them, because I felt like I've lived all these years to now, and I've worked so hard to get okay with me that this is like part of who I am in all the experience at this age. Mm-hmm. Like as you age, you get you gain experience, and it's so disheartening. My friend, childhood friend Jenny, I had asked some questions of people, and she wrote this: I wish we could get rid of everything that is anti-aging. What's so wrong with getting older? It's a privilege denied to so many. Love that.
But I don't want to age.
Okay. Well, and say that to someone whose health is failing and they're 75 years old. So the beauty part of it, I totally get. Mm-hmm. But reality is our bodies degrade over time. Yeah, it's an awful way to say it. We all have parents who are aging. It's awful. I mean, it's sad to see people going through some of the things that they go through as they get older. And every couple of years, they turn a new corner, then they turn another corner, and it's heartbreaking. Yeah. And when it's something like dementia and it's spread out over a long period of time, it's really, it's brutal on that person. It's brutal on the loved ones. And I don't mean to go down the sad path, but I think absolutely for the beauty aspect, yes, but for the health that goes with age, get like now the knees are getting stiff, or, I'm swinging a tennis racket and I'm like, my back. I mean, so I'm getting swimmer shoulder, stuff like that. So,
right. But she meant it in the aspect, like Becky's saying, like people using filters, like, why is everybody so nutso? And here we go. Like, if we want to talk about our physical being, like comparing ourselves, am I not as pretty? Am I less wrinkly? Yeah. What's so wrong with aging? And I hear you, Becky,
okay,
because it bothers me too. Like, I don't want to see the wrinkles on my face. Yeah.
I mean,
I have to get right.
I'm not going to put forth a version of Becky with crazy filters. That's not realistic. That's not real. Mm-hmm. So like my mom is 83. She's gorgeous for 83. When my mom got married almost 3 years ago, and she was freaking hot on her wedding day. I was looking at her in her red dress and her strappy black shoes. I'm like, what the freak is going on here with this 80-year-old lady? But I think it's okay to fight, like use your skincare products to like take care of your skin. But I just feel like doing stuff to your face in a filter or Photoshop to the version of you that's not really who you are, that's not doing you any that's not doing you a service.
Right. Right.
I would like to it's funny that you brought some of this up because we can segue into this other piece that we might want to delve into a little bit. So
quickly.
So women wanting to one up others. Remember, oftentimes it's about competition for men.
But do you think women want to one up each other or just be seen a certain way in their own right?
Both.
Okay.
Yeah, I would say both.
All right.
So both as far as like maybe the house, the family, the lifestyle and all that sort of thing that goes along with it. And then especially, for single women, it's the one-upping because I want the attention. And I know that in my brain as a single, I know, I'm single. I need to look better than her or her or her. And I got to be a size 4 and I got to be a size 2 and look a certain way and have a certain cup size or, whatever the case may be. But what drives me crazy is the whole like getting into minutia. My eyebrows have to be absolutely perfect. But at a young age, like I've got teenage daughters. I didn't look at my eyebrows until I was like after college. I don't even know. I'm like, as long as I don't have caterpillars crawling around on my head. Who cares?
And I did. I have those damn caterpillars.
But like,
gave a second thought to my eyebrows until I got out. I'm like, what? People worry about their eyebrows?
They do now at really young ages. And I think that's part of the problem with social media, like really crazy minutia kind of thing. And it's a lot of it is about one-upping and competing for men's attention because men are visual and women know that. So we're going in saying, I want to be more visually appealing because I want to compete for that. And I know, Becky, you've got something from, I guess it was a movie. This is like amazing.
So this is the perfect place to insert this because we were talking about this before we hit record. I was watching this show. It doesn't matter what the show was, but I was watching the show on Netflix because I was bored. And in it, one of the characters said something, and the movie was about this man, this sex therapist, helping this husband help his wife overcome the fact that she was sexually abused from the time she was an infant. And the man shows up at the sex therapist's office, very frustrated with the progress and questioning it. And the sex therapist is standing on this ladder of his library, pulling out the case studies of each of the women he's worked with. He's like, this woman, she spends 2 hours a day on the treadmill and 1 hour a day on the Stairmaster just to, and that's every single day, 3 hours every single day. This woman, she throws up every ounce of food she ever intakes into her body. And then he throws that book down and he's just pulling case study and saying all these crazy things that all these women he's worked with have done. And then the husband finally is like, what? Why are these women doing this? And I actually, when the sex therapist gave the answer, and the movie is Bliss, just so you know, if you want to look it up, it's an old movie on Netflix. But when the man gave the answer, I stopped and rewound it and wrote down exactly what he said. And when he answered the husband, he said, the women do this. And now I'm going to read what he said. He goes, the women do this because they're desperate to sell what men buy. They're desperate to be what they're not, to be loved. And I was like,
to be loved.
Bam. That's exactly what women do. We will become what we're not to be loved.
Yeah. And that's right there. When you said become what we're not, all the way until I met Carl, no kidding. I feel like when I look back at things, that I kept trying to be somebody that I wasn't. Parts of me were who I was, but I was trying to fit myself into what I thought people wanted me to be or what I should be. instead of being completely 100% authentically me.
Yeah.
Yes.
And that is why I freaking love you and Carl.
Yeah. Oh, thank you, Becky.
I just love
Me
that.
too.
I just love that.
Thank you, guys. Thank you.
But real quick, I wanted to bring something else up because I thought this was interesting. So I had asked my husband, Rick, I'm like, so do guys compare? Because I brought this up at the beginning of the cast. I said, we're going to look into men versus women. Very interesting. And he said, you all women, you focus on like the most, insignificant things, and you think that they're important. You obsess over them. Like, my hair is too straight. My hair is too curly. My eyes are too small. My eyes are too big. My thighs are too big. I'm too skinny. I'm too fat, yada, yada. But he goes, with men, it's different. Men want to be number one, whether it's at the job, in a sport, whatever they're going through, they just want to be number one. But as they get older, they start to mellow out a little bit and just want to be the best that they can be at their job or as a dad, as a provider, as a husband. But it's interesting that they know that we obsess over those little things in order. But he also said it's partly their fault because they are visual.
Mm.
And we play into that as well. So men do kind of.
We don't play into that. Social media bombards us with thoughts that we need to play into that to measure up.
Right. Well, what about before social media, though? Social media wasn't always there.
I mean, social media, all media, TV, movies, everything.
Yeah.
Magazines.
Because remember, at the end of the day, hi, kitty, sex sells.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And it sells partly because men are so visual and their largest audience is male.
And the minute you're irrelevant, you're done.
Right.
Or at least that's what they tell us.
Right.
Right.
And that can, again, that's a contentment, and that can really make you feel miserable.
Yeah.
And that's something to really be careful with.
So I'm just going to say this because I'm worried. I think maybe we probably have 5 minutes. I didn't check the time when we started.
We started a little bit after 8, so we're definitely crawling up.
Okay.
Yeah, I think so. We should probably start wrapping it up.
Minutes, but I think at some point, and it's not going to happen here, but the question we need to address is, what does it take to get people, and in our case, women, feeling secure and satisfied with the person that they are and loving who they are and being comfortable with who you are?
That's hard, I think, for people. I think it's hard for everyone in general. For me as a Christian, I find my security in who I am in Christ, but that's not the case for everybody. And I understand that. And even so, I still have problems with insecurity, and I still have, I compare. And I think that's just part of human nature to a large degree. Sadly.
I'm going to go on the same thing with you, Jen. Along the lines of you, I think it's important to, we were created to be who we are. We're all humans on this earth, and we were created individually. And I think it's important to recognize and to understand who we are and to celebrate it and to get to know who we are and stop trying to be like other people.
Yep.
But that takes a lot. That just, you got to dig around, because then you have things that happen in your life. It's not an easy process, but just to know that you were created to be a certain way and to get to know who you are and to love yourself for that, to be able to give to other people. You're created
definitely.
to give out, you're created a certain way for a certain reason, and you're created to give back to everybody else. So you can't do that unless you're being authentically yourself.
Right.
I agree. Mm-hmm. So is that it?
Becky.
We're going to end on that note.
Becky, look how cute. You're like,
Well, I think this is going to lead nicely into one of our future podcasts, which is about knowing your self-worth. And we have our thoughts for that are to be geared towards the teen girl, but I think it really is geared for everybody.
yeah, I love talking about the teen girl because we all have in that somewhat age range of those young girls. But I am also very passionate about talking about women of our own age and being satisfied with our lives and knowing who we are and just being filled with love and joy and living out our life like that too. So
Celebrating other women and their accomplishments and achievements, talents and abilities and all of that.
Connecting and sharing and just kumbaya.
Yeah.
Build each other up.
That's
so
right.
on that note, I think we'll end it.
Yeah.
We just want to say thank you. Thank you, ladies. You both are awesome. And I'll just build you up right now and say how terrific you are. And thanks for being a part of this cast and listening to us. Please comment. Let us know what your thoughts are in comparison and especially how you combat it. That would be so helpful.
Yeah.
And we'll see you next time on The Messy Truth with me and Maureen and Becky. Thanks.
Bye.